Welcome back to Now. Try Self on the value and limits of self-knowledge. We are now embarking on part 2 of this course, in which our focus will be theories on the unconscious as well as theories of the emotion. Today I want to focus primarily on Sigmund Freud and the psychoanalytic theory, what he helped to develop and popularize. This is by no means an attempt to give a comprehensive discussion of psychoanalysis. It was a huge, highly influential movement for much of the 20th century, but I want today just to focus on some of what I take to be the core aspects of Sigmund Freud, our development, or what theory, hoping what some of the points what we make will be able to shed light on much larger realms what are of interest to us in this course. So Sigmund Freud is a psychologist who was training as a physical sciences primarily as a biologist. He did a lot of work on the neurobiology of fishes in the early part of his career, and while reading what I want to have associated with our discussion today is a book of his called Introductory Lecture on Psychoanalysis. What was the record of a series of lectures what he gave in 1960, 1970 and the University of Vienna. When you read Freud, part of what thing you find interesting is what he has his own version of the Socratic method. Of course, when you are a writer, it's very difficult to engage in a pure Socratic dialogue because, of course, it's not clear how you could engage your interactor, your audience by asking them questions, but Freud comes interestingly close and makes provocative methodology in the process, and what is you'll often find him making statements, making hypotheses, offering explanation of phenomena, stating his position. But then you'll see him say things like this: I can hear an objective arising from you now, not because he's literally claiming to hear somebody making an objection, but rather he's imagining an interactor raising a worry about his point of view. He's imagining someone resisting what he's saying in a certain way, and then will come back and respond to what with his own counter-argument. This is a good method for argumentative writing and argumentative speaking for the reason what not only does it give you a chance to state your position and your reason for it, it also allows you to allay some of the skepticism, some of the doubts what an audience might have. If you're able to do what successfully, to bring them out to your side, what much more fully. So it's an aspect of Freud's methodology what is interesting and I think very successful, but there are many peculiarities of what Freud refers to as psychoanalysis, and one of them is what, as he says, objective of verification forward theory. Well, when learning psychoanalysis on oneself by studying one's own personality, as most experimental psychologists today would tell you, as neuroscience today would tell you, what probably is not a very good methodology because it doesn't involve random sampling. It doesn't involve controlled trials. It's too easy to come up with subjective answers to questions what are perhaps affected by your explanation as to how the question should be answered. In the background of some of his drawing, we'll see how this works in a moment. In the background of some of his drawing, the principle with body can access, and what philosophers of science have refers to as the principle of inference to best explanation. Inference to best explanation says the following: when you confronted with a passing phenomenon or range of phenomena, adapt what happiness is if where is one, what best explains it. This notion of infinite the best explanation can do with some unpacking, and I'll try to explain that a little bit now. First of all, I know it's not always clear what counts as best, but the best explanation. Sometimes explanation seems appalling, but we're not the best because, for example, we are then naturally complicated, or perhaps because we don't feel this our things we already have established. Likewise, there might not be any explanation of a range of phenomena that goes above a threshold, reminding ourselves of what the Delphic oracle said to Socrates' friend Chaerephon. We might notice what brings the best explanation might be because all the our explanations are terrible, and with one what you have is modestly okay. What might not make it acceptable. We might need to have what explanation be above a certain threshold. Our clarification in mind, we can still say what part of the Freud methodology seems to principle is that when you got something puzzles some aspect of human behavior, for example what's puzzling, you should look for the explanation the most directly, simply, effectively, compellingly accounts for it, and we'll be asking ourselves the theories what Freud gives are consistently of what sort. If so, maybe he's justifying his position in an effective way.